We are going to be talking about Alabama Barker and Bad Baby. We're going to be talking about Trump and Canada and Ukraine. We're going to be talking about Michelle Trachtenberg's death. We're going to be talking about all types of stuff. So hang out with us. Have a cool Sunday chilling with us while we go over all this bullshit, and let's get into it. All right. So Alabama Barker, Bad Baby. They, if you don't know who they are the epitome of like spoiled, entitled, crazy chicks. That's the best way I can describe it. So Alabama Barker is the daughter of Travis Barker. He was the drummer for Blink 182. He's obviously been doing a lot over the years. A lot lately, he's been working with MGK. He helped MGK make Tickets to My Downfall, which was one of his biggest albums. And his daughter has not really followed in his footsteps, but she has stayed kind of in the spotlight, kind of doing her own thing. Bad Baby is the Catch Me Outside girl. That if
From
you
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, if you don't know who that is, I remember way back in the day. I don't even remember how old I was because it was a long time ago. But this was a disgruntled teen that basically got famous because she was spouting off at the mouth while she was on Dr. Phil, and she was telling everybody, "Catch me outside. How about that?" And that's kind of where it went. She was one of the first real like viral sensations back in the day that kind of turned into a meme before there really were memes and all types of stuff. So
And then
go
she
ahead.
went on to a very successful OF.
Yeah, so that is so that's even later down the road. So OF is something that she definitely capitalized on. She after all this Dr. Phil stuff, she basically turned it into a brand. She started rapping. Her actual name is Danielle Bragosi, I want to say, and she turned into a rapper, if you want to call her that. Okay, I've listened to some of her music. I don't know that I would call it rapping, but she goes and does all this. She's part of I can't remember what record label she is in, but she's part of a record label. It's one of the bigger ones, and she has got into this thing with Alabama because of none other than a guy. So basically, Bad Baby was dating, you remember his name?
Levon.
Levon. I always forget his name. Bad Baby was dating Levon. They had been a thing for a while. I want to say it had been a few years. They were on a break. You know, a lot of couples go through breaks if things are kind of getting hairy. So they're on a break, and Levon goes and kicks it supposedly with Alabama Barker, and they're doing their thing. You know, who knows if they're even hooking up? Who knows what's happening? They're literally just kicking it at the very least. And Bad Baby finds out and starts spouting out at everybody, basically saying that this bitch is going for my man. She trying to steal my man.
Now, they had a baby together recently. So
Yep.
it's her baby daddy. And not only that, but now Danielle has leukemia. So she has a blood cancer.
Yep.
So she's currently in treatment for her leukemia, which that's a lot mentally to deal at such a young age with such a diagnosis like that, especially being a young new mom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally get it. I could see stuff like that, all the hormones from being a newer mom, all this stuff kind of playing into the fact that, you know, this lady, this chick was trying to take my man. I could see how she could kind of freak out, but she made a diss basically to Alabama, you know, saying you're horrible. Had a drummer that kind of looked like Travis Barker, who is Alabama's dad. Had Kanye sampled in there, supposedly, all types of stuff. And that's kind of what exploded this beef because then it brought like straight shots in. And that's kind of where we're at. They're just going back and forth. And Bad Baby wants to fight Alabama. Bad Baby went to her house and tried instigating things, all types of stuff. But like you said, there are other things to focus on here. Like why are you worried about some random chick when you just had a baby? You out there trying to fight and potentially go to jail when you have a baby to take care of. You obviously have your own life to worry about. So why are you worried about another dude? It just I don't understand how after all this time and everything that's kind of happening, how she hasn't matured in any way.
It's like a lot of people are saying because yesterday a new video came out
Hmm.
with Bad Babies. It looks like a look-alike Alabama Barker, but
Yep.
it's not. And Levon was getting in a car with this other woman that does resemble Alabama. So could she have been putting this all on Alabama and it really being this other woman?
And that's why I said allegedly Alabama, because that's the thing. All this happens and they don't actually know that it's Alabama. It just looked like her, so she started spouting off at the mouth. And it probably is causing a lot of unnecessary drama whenever it may not even be a thing. And that is kind of how Bad Baby's been her entire life. I mean, if you've known her since the Dr. Phil days, you've probably seen a lot of headlines of her doing some crazy thing here and there, and that's kind of how it all has gone down. And yet she's having kids.
I do have to say though about Bad Baby, I love the fact that she has a platform and she uses her platform to talk about her experience on the Dr. Phil show.
Sure.
And Dr. Phil was sending all these troubled teens off to this one camp.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
a lot of these camps are very toxic. They're not there to help you. A lot of underage kids are getting taken advantage of at these camps, just like Paris Hilton with like the boarding school situation.
Yeah. You got to think you're sending all these kids into a type of situation like that. And besides how it's ran, what they're doing to try and help these kids, besides all that, you have all these extremely troubled children all together. That right there is
Right.
a recipe for disaster. So I agree, and I guess the big thing is Dr. Phil kind of went along that line, trying to help everybody in one way because back in the day that was kind of all that anybody knew. So he kind of thought he could do the like scared straight thing to everybody and treat everybody like they were the same.
But as you know, that tough love approach does not
Doesn't
work with a
work.
lot of people and it causes more mental health issues than anything else.
Yeah, and who knows what that did to her? Because I mean, you if you watched her on the Dr. Phil show, she was already pretty messed up. Like
She was
she
pretty
was a lot.
abrasive on the
Yeah.
Dr. Phil show, like very rough around the edges.
Yep.
Rough with her mouth, rough with her comebacks, and rough around the edges.
Yeah. And then goes to something like that. And it's another instance of she started seeing fame too at one at a young age when she was having so much trouble, but like no one can ever prepare for that fame. No one knows how it's going to get
Right.
thrown at you and what's going to happen. So just kind of getting thrust into that as a child, it's hard. I mean, I can't
And
imagine.
not only fame, it's the money that's associated with the fame a lot of times. People don't know when they've never come from money how to deal with money when it is in their hands.
Before we got on here, we were just talking about Ash Trevino and the fact that she's kind of blowing all her money. She decided she's going to go to Florida and live there and kind of leave her kids and everything. But everybody's talking about, oh, you're going to go to Florida, buy a house, do all this stuff, and you're getting canceled. Like, you aren't going to have any money. None of these people can handle money because they just start blowing it. It's all about, especially nowadays, it's all about the persona and the image. So they feel like they have to. They don't know what putting money aside means.
Right. And a lot of these things on social media, you're thinking that this is real life. A lot of it's skits. A
Hmm.
lot of these people are putting on fake fights. They
Hmm.
hang out with people and they make these, oh, we're filming content when it's really just skits
Hmm.
to make more drama, to make more people keep talking about them, to keep making them more money.
The rappers especially have always done it. The rappers have been doing it for years. Where you watch a rap video, a music video, whatever, and they've got all these really nice cars. They've got this big old house. They've got all this stuff, and you're like, "Oh, I want to be like him. I want to do that whenever I grow up." It's all fake. All that stuff is all those cars are rented. That house is rented. You know how many houses that have been in some of those music videos where people were like, "Oh, this is my place."
And a lot of these things are Airbnbs
Right, right,
that
right.
they make people think are their houses when in all reality it's just a rental.
And the place they live is garbage.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing. There were, if you remember Cribs from back in the day, MTV Cribs. I can't remember who it was, but there were a couple of people that legit just rented a house to show. I think Redman might have been one of them. Don't
Wow.
quote me on that. But it's this whole lifestyle, this whole online lifestyle is fake. You can find some people that are being 100% honest. Marie and I try and be honest, but obviously we aren't some big shot. But there, I would say 95% of all the people online, it's all fake. Not even
Right.
just a little bit. It's all fake. And it's Ash Trevino.
Brie
She,
Olson, like Brie Olson's the one that has the baby with 2K.
yep.
And he really stepped it up as a father. I have to say, the way that he stepped it up as a father is a beautiful thing to witness because a lot of these women are literally abandoning their young children to become TikTok famous.
Yeah. Do you think that Ash is really like that? Do you think that's really how she acts all the time?
Yep.
And it's not. See, that's the other thing.
She's live way too much.
She would slip up.
Right. It's
Yeah.
not a persona with her. That's her.
That's the thing though too. All the stuff in the image is fake, but they stand out and they gain this following because of the person that
Drama.
they star. Yeah, because so many people want to start this drama and so many people are they're so wild that people cannot believe it. So then they like cling to it because they're sitting at home going to their nine
Bored.
to five bored, and it's just yeah, it's a very weird place to be able to escape to watch some like crazy person leave her kids and go to Florida. Like that's I don't
Right.
know.
And then people want to keep up because Ash Trevino's daughters even came out making TikToks saying like how the mother was always toxic and this and that. And, you know, their father died years ago. I think it
Yeah.
had to do with substance use disorder, if I'm correct. But like ever since then, they haven't had a stable male role model in their life. And their mother just cares more about being live 24/7 than giving them that stability, than working on their mental health, than trying to help build them to be successful young women. They don't have that mother figure.
She's not a parent. That's all it is. And that's kind of what I worry about with Bad Baby and her kid. Cause just the persona that she is showing everybody, it does not seem like she's a parent. Her kid is gonna grow up to be the same like entitled little shit, just like she is, just like honestly, like Alabama is. And I'm not saying these people are bad people. They just grew up in a lifestyle where they do not understand reality.
Because like you have the money to do whatever you want. Like here's this girl getting her hair done professionally, her makeup beaded on her face by all these people that do celebrities 24/7, and
Hmm.
she barely leaves her house. She's in pajamas all the time. Her mother lived like that because her mother, Shannon Mokler, if I'm
Yep.
saying it correct.
Yep.
She is her mother. And honestly, the show Meet the Barkers back in the day, it was out even before the Kardashian show was famous. One
Mm-hmm.
of the first reality TV shows. And it showed the mother, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the mother had a baby with Oscar De La Hoya,
Yep.
the
Yep.
boxer, and Travis took that child in as his own. The mother, in a lot of the times on that reality show, was just laying in bed and getting her makeup all dolled up and just laying around in pajamas all day and like not really doing anything else with herself.
That's because they
Not
don't.
really being like an active mother.
Yeah, that's because they don't have to. Other people end up raising their kids.
Right. When you have nannies and you could afford all those things, that's where a lot of people go wrong.
And I saw something. Um, it was with Bad Baby where they she when it like whenever she did that music video and everything, she looks like something's wrong. Like it, and I'm guessing it's the cancer. You know, I kept seeing everybody talking about her how her face looked weird and stuff. I think the cancer is starting to get to her. But even stuff like that, you have to think these people are in the limelight 24/7, being fed with a silver spoon, but then like the public comes after you like that, like just dissing you all the time.
Well, she lost a significant amount of weight, especially
Yeah.
in the face. And I think that that does have to do with her treatment that she's currently undergoing.
I mean, I couldn't imagine. It sucks on here when people like just shit on you because no matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do.
It still hurts. You still have feelings.
People shit on you no matter what. You could be the most perfect, nicest person in the world doing the best thing for people. I mean, you could spend every second of your day making food for homeless people and somebody would still shit on you for it. It's just that is how the internet is because so many people are miserable in their lives.
Right.
But it's just I guess I don't understand why all these celebrities and everything they're so backwards and going after each other all the time when they already have the public doing that. Like
Right.
everybody has a bunch of haters. Freaking I was just reading this thing where people were dogging Katy Perry, which Katy Perry used to be like beloved by everybody, and people are dogging her because she just started a tour and she can't sell tickets. Like she's falling off, and
Is it because the prices are so high that people just can't afford it?
I'm sure some of it has to do with prices, but they all try and do one more thing so they don't fall off. Like this whole drama, it could all be fake. All of
Right.
it.
It could keep just to keep people's names relevant.
Just to stay relevant because they'll do anything for relevancy. And I feel like people don't know how to handle that either. Like once you finally make it and then you drop off after a little bit. Like I could see that kind of affecting your mental health.
Because you ever hear people say that, saying that like even bad publicity is still publicity.
Right.
Like
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't matter if it's negative, positive, it doesn't matter what you bring to the table. You're still being talked about.
It has people checking into you, searching your name, clicking, which all that stuff nowadays translates into money.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, which that's what Astrovino does. That's honestly probably what Bad Baby and Alabama Barker are doing. It just brings that relevancy, even though it's so negative. I
And a
mean,
lot of people have an issue with Alabama Barker because they say that like what was the word that I was trying to say, like where she
oh,
talks differently,
yeah,
cultural.
cultural appropriation. And both of them do it. They both try and act like they're, see, and this is the thing. They both try and act like they're black, but it might not even be an act because you gotta, for some people, it's just like where you grew up, who you grew up with. Like some people talk differently than others. So I don't always agree with that. Some people very clearly, yes, they do just put on kind of a show and they talk a certain way for certain people and all that stuff. Some people are really like that.
With the Alabama Barker situation, I've seen videos, like I've watched her live. She talks completely different in some of her videos.
She's also media trained. So is that her trying to be the proper self and then whenever she talks all ghetto, that's her real self? You know what I mean? Because all these people have been in the limelight for a long time, so
You
they
never know.
know, yeah, they know when you got to kind of switch things up. But it's people that do that. I mean, you're gonna get shit on if you're doing stuff like that, which I agree. Just be yourself. You don't have to put on a fake little front. It's weird. Um, yeah, what was going on with the whole Kanye side of things and Kardashian? You know more about that part of the story.
So I've seen some videos saying, well, I saw a video where Kanye was like, somebody used my voice as a sample and I didn't approve that in that diss track. But a lot of other people were saying, no, he was forced probably to make that video because it was stirring up chaos with the Kardashians.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
so almost like Kris Jenner probably told him, like, Kanye, you better clear this up.
I don't know. Ye is pretty powerful though. That's the thing. We're talking about some of the most influential people. That's what I think is funny about the Bad Baby and Alabama thing. They're like bottom of the totem pole compared to all these people, and yet they're the ones kind of in the drama. All these other people that are getting brought in, like Ye, the Kardashians, they are power. So I just don't understand why they're getting involved. I know it's family, but still, like, whatever. It's two little kids squabbling.
A lot of people are saying when there's drama like this, it's usually to cover up a deeper situation. There, people are saying there could be a pregnancy that's about to be announced by the Kardashians, and maybe they're using this as a cover up story. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but Kourtney Kardashian's son, Masick Disick, is supposed to have a 1 year old child that no one knows about. And they're wondering if this is a cover up story so that no one's focusing on the other stuff.
Where did this kid come from, though?
It was an unprotected, like a malfunction of a condom.
Got it. So basically, they're trying, but it's a pregnancy.
And
It's gonna get out.
Scott Disick was on a podcast and he was talking about, like, you know, seeing his son want to go out and like date people and this and that. And like he said that it was I don't think he admitted it, but he said something like the birth control failed.
So basically, they're trying to save face because they're letting their young kid, have intercourse with people, which I guess as a parent, maybe understanding that, like you wouldn't want people to know all that stuff. But if there's a pregnancy involved, I don't even understand why people try and hide that stuff.
Well,
They're gonna find
I've
out.
also heard another side of the story because how Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker recently had a baby within this past year. Could that have been Mason's child and she be faking her pregnancy?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Think about how wild that would be.
Could
That's
you
wild.
imagine if that was the truth? That if Kourtney really wasn't pregnant and it was a cover up story to hide her son really having a baby? Like, you never know.
That'd be so weird for that kid too, because once it grows up, it's gonna be, hey, in public you're my child, but in reality you're really his, and like that the emotional damage that that would cause to this kid, and this kid hasn't even been born yet, and that could be a reality. That's crazy.
Well, the baby adds up to the timeline, kind of, which is a little weird.
Yeah, that's strange. You might as well just have
And
kids.
they never show pictures of the baby. They never show pictures. Also, I came across the video of Mason Disick with a J in his hand, no biggie. He's 15 years old. I mean, I used to do those things, you know.
Yeah.
But the part that no one's talking about the video, there was a whole bunch of cash in his hand and it had red dye on it, as if it was stolen from a bank type deal.
I'm almost positive that any dye that like hits money from a bank, I'm pretty sure it's always blue. There's a reason for that. So it's got to be
Are you
something else.
sure? I
hmm
don't know about that. I thought it was red.
I'm almost positive that
I would
it's
like to
always
look that
blue.
one up when I get off of here.
Hey, if anybody watching can look that up, because I feel like that is a thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Because on this particular video, everyone kept saying it's not about the fact that he has a big blunt in the picture. Why is the
mm,
money have dye all over it?
RZA said it is
It's
red.
red, right? It is red. I told you.
There's something I'm thinking of something else in because there's something where it's always blue dye, but that could be like tracked differently or something. But okay, so red
The
dye,
dye, when it has to do with like bank robberies, is
then
supposed
it's
to be
red.
red. And not, it wasn't just on some of the money was saturated with red dye.
Annie, we're thinking of something else because there is something where it's blue, and I
You
can't
know, I
think of
think
what
when
it
you
was.
like take off those little sensors from clothes that have dye in it, that's blue.
I don't know about that one. Yeah, who knows? But okay, why would he need to do that though? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they just like put red dye on the money to make it look and cause more controversy to be talked about more. Who knows?
Trying to act like they're tough, like they did something, because they don't need that. They
Right.
don't need that type of heat. They already have the money. So yeah, no, I think that's just bullshit trying to stir up something. Well, and like you said earlier, she has changed so much because she's got with Travis. And my kind of argument about that was Travis is just a different type of dude. Like Travis and Courtney are, I feel like, very different people. So then they get together, start hanging out. If you start hanging out with different people, you start acting a little different and stuff. So,
But she really changed a lot. Like she used to be Miss Gluten Free, this,
Mhm.
even with like showing her body, and she really changed. But sometimes just having the right love in your life, or, because she did go through a lot of trauma with Scott back in the
Sure.
day. He always cheated on her. He was always for that party life. She was never for that life. And that's why their relationship never really sustained.
Well, and like Riza said, the Kardashians need some sort of new storyline there, getting boring. Hey, maybe this is that new storyline. Who knows? All this, because this is the problem with any news like this. So even the baby thing, they could have planted that. It could all be completely normal. It is Travis and Courtney's baby. Everything is as it's supposed to be, but they needed something to stir things up. So they just threw some out there.
Right. A lot of it's just to keep people relevant. And because a lot of these people have their own brands, like,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of the Kardashians have their own, Skims and they're different brands of things. But it's just weird how somebody could change so much for a new man.
Maybe that's how she always was, though. And you say for a new man, it it might not be her changing for a new man. It could be her changing because of a new man. You know what I mean? Just natural changes. It doesn't have to be people trying to be fake and be different just for somebody else. People do change people.
When she was with Scott, would be ashamed of certain things and different things. Now, like, she, even her own kids are like, oh my God, too much with like the public displays of affection. And they're
Sure.
constantly like tongue in mouth, like hooking up, like in front of the kids. And a lot of people say that's distasteful as well.
I mean, that is the type of person that I see from Travis, and that's how Alabama is turning out. So I don't know. All these celebrities are crazy. That's kind of been the focal point of the last couple of episodes because just I don't know, man. The world is a crazy, crazy place. You want to talk about all the Trump stuff, the Canada stuff?
Sure. You
All right.
can start that, lead that one off.
Ricky said it's a good distraction from the political crazy stuff right as we're switching to
Right as we're
crazy stuff.
transitioning into that crazy political stuff.
So we wanted to talk about this whole Canada thing. First off, I just have to say it. If anybody in here is from Canada and you are, I don't know, worried about coming to the US, if you're worried about what's going to happen, I've got your back. I know that only means a little bit because I'm nobody. I can't really do a ton, but I do not think the Americans and the Canadians like have it out for each other in any way. At least none that I have met. It
I
is
have plenty of friends that live in Canada
yeah.
that tell me all the time. They keep telling me, Marie, go get yourself and your 4 kids passports. And if you ever need to come here and live here, I will let you live at my house. Like, they want people from America going there because of what's going on. A lot of people in Canada are disgusted with the Trump administration.
It is all Trump and Trudeau going back and forth. And it's the sad part is Trump is being so bullish that it's actually starting to affect the Canadian people just between the tariffs and you got to think about this. So we're putting the tariffs in place to help us make more money and to kind of switch around the way we do exports, imports, all that stuff. But we're losing money because we don't have as many Canadians traveling to the US. You would hope that nobody would cause an issue, but there are people that are like 100% with Trump with this. And if that is somebody that's at the Canadian border, who knows? They could keep you here because they think you came over to do God knows what, get some
Right.
goods that you weren't supposed to have. It's just, this is turning into a situation where we could be at war. And that's kind of what Trump called it in some degrees. He called it a trade war. Like, why are we labeling stuff like that? Why are we trying to instigate that type of pressure and that narrative with a country that we've had a good relationship with for a long time? I
And
mean,
that's why a lot of Canadian people are heartbroken right now because they feel like terrified to come over here.
mhm.
What if they got stuck here? Like, there's so many different things rolling through people's heads with all this ICE situation going on and the borders and just not trusting Donald Trump right now.
It's hard for people, I think, because a lot of the people that voted for him are not super happy with what he's doing. A lot are, but a lot aren't also. I think it's weird because if we would have got Kamala, a lot of people were worried about, nothing happening. We go nowhere. We kind of continue to be a laughing stock, all this stuff. And that was the whole reason a lot of people voted for Trump. They wanted to see that change. But is this the change that the American people wanted?
You know what we need? We need affordable housing, affordable groceries. We need things like that changed first and foremost. We need to make this country be able to thrive again and people not feel like they're struggling on a daily basis to make ends meet because so many people are drowning right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you talk to anybody out there, nobody is comfortable. Like,
Times are tough for so many people.
so well, so there's been that. There's been the whole Canadian issue. There
And then
was,
people fearing with the whole healthcare situation changing.
oh yeah, and then we've got Health Alliance, which I don't know if Health Alliance is everywhere, but it's a pretty large healthcare uh, insurance agent, I guess, and they are basically getting rid of their insurance arm altogether. They are no longer going to be an insurance entity. And I wonder how much of that had to do with like the Luigi Mangiolone, or however you say his name, how much it had to do with what he did in taking out the CEO, how much some of the government red tape has changed because there's a lot of things that Trump and the people that he instated, they're putting a lot of things in place that are putting pressure on the healthcare industry in general. So maybe that's it.
Like for me, you know how I did my therapy on I saw two different types of therapists on a weekly basis, regular therapy and EMDR therapy.
Hmm.
I now had to pick and choose. I had to stop my regular therapy because my insurance will no longer pay for both services. And then also, Janelle, I check in with my Sublocade provider
Hmm.
and I see a psychiatrist, and they're all through the same doctor's office type deal. I can no longer see them on the same day. So, like, say I have a Sublocade check-in appointment, I can't see my therapist on the same day because now they're not able to bill, even though they're separate services. So now I had to pick and choose. I just had my last therapy session this week with my regular therapist.
That doesn't make sense.
It's all billing
That's still
because
stupid.
it's the same corporation. It's being billed like as of like the corporation's getting the money.
Oh, and so
So
you can't do
now they're
two.
not able to do the things that they were once not so strict about doing.
Huh. Yeah, and it's little stuff like that. I mean, these are things that may seem like minor inconveniences, but whenever you have 20 of those inconveniences, now it's a big problem because now it's
Right.
affecting everything.
Right. And it's like I had to cut a service that was helping me tremendously.
Hmm, that's interesting. It's, I don't agree with everything that a lot of the health insurance companies do. I mean, a lot of it is it's all about money. They aren't actually helping people. It's a business. I understand. I totally do. I know money has to be a big focus, but at the same time, that's why we've gotten to this point where CEOs are getting wiped out just because they've only cared about the money for so long. I just don't see how much they actually do for the people they take care of.
Right. And as you and I have discussed previously, a lot of times these prior authorizations are getting denied right off the jump
Oh
because
yeah.
it's AI technology that's like, nope, not approved. It's not even hitting a real person.
So that is another thing that the mass deportation thing. Since all of that, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is going to be so good. It's going to bring a lot of jobs in place, everything." And it is kind of backfiring in a lot of ways because now this workforce is just gone, which is hurting businesses and causing businesses to they had those people because they were cheaper labor, and now they can't make up that difference. So now they're looking at, okay, maybe I need to go to AI, or maybe I need to go to whatever machine to do this job because it's going to be cheaper because I still can't afford to hire an American worker. So it's making the business space and innovation really, really interesting, especially for smaller businesses too.
Yeah, like family owned restaurants. A lot of
Right.
the workers there, we both worked in the restaurant business. We know that it is a lot of, you know, Hispanics and,
Yeah.
Mexicans and people that have migrated here from other countries.
And now imagine, shoot, all your cooks were illegal. They're gonna say that was your fault for having illegal cooks, which it was. I get
But a
that.
lot of people also don't do the checking when they're initially getting hired, like to make sure that they have legal papers and stuff like that, right?
Uh, Most people do. It's just whether they care because it's still a business. You still have to run everything kind of by the book. Just some people go around that because they're trying to save a buck. A lot of times it
Right.
is because they're trying to save
You
money.
know what bothers me? Like places like Walmart and stuff, I won't even shop there. You know why? Because I cannot stand to have to do my own self checkout. My head cannot mentally handle like of the self checkout, especially with the kids.
Shoot, self checkout's easier.
I hate self checkout. I can't stand it. That
Why?
literally deters me because when you're standing there with kids that are running their mouths and throwing stuff up on the register, and I'm trying to do it one way, and the kids are getting me all sidetracked, it causes so much anxiety that I won't even shop at places that only have self checkout. I will not.
Have you seen the new things? I see them at quite a few gas stations where it's like it's a self checkout, but it's like a square pad, and you just put the things on the pad, and it shows up like what they are on the screen. It's really
No.
weird. It literally like you can have some chips, a pop, a donut, whatever. Put them all on there. It shows up, and then you pay that way. That's kind of nice because then you don't have to scan everything. It's really chill.
But it's like, why take away from somebody getting it? Like, I will flip out when I'm in those like self checkout lines. I can't stand it. Every time it's like, remove the item from the bag in area. I could
Or
take something to beat the shit out of that thing to shut it up.
or something goes wrong on it and you need someone to come over and help you and it
Oh,
takes
I
you.
constantly am like, get over. That person comes and stands next to me because they could just tell I'm about to lose my shit every time.
And it's again, all these changes, they're always about money and efficiency and trying to make things better for everybody, but it's people losing jobs. I mean,
Right.
there has to be a balance. There should always be those things that make it so an individual can be more productive and helpful in the workplace. There should not be things completely replacing people in the workplace.
Right. Like my McDonald's recently just did a remodel.
Sure.
They don't even have people working the registers. It's all order only through those little kiosk things.
Oh
They
yeah, no.
completely eliminate it. They used to at least have one cash register open.
Yep.
Now it's only you order through those little things and that's it. What about elderly people that struggle to use stuff like that technology? Like I know my parents, they're not tech savvy. I'm
Right.
not tech savvy. So when I go to those things, I could come back and become postal over something like that.
I don't know. It's so hard because we have the same problem with, with my business and it's I don't know. It's so hard because whenever we're going through everything and we're like, okay, this is something that could improve productivity, we can get, I don't know, 3,000 more orders out in a week. And it makes it so instead of a person having to pack and ship and get everything on a truck and it'd be super, super difficult, it just computer scans it all in and it's done and that's it. And it saves hundreds and thousands of dollars. So something like that, you still need a human being operating and kind of maintaining, and you still have to do the work of getting things on a truck and kind of everything organized. But I feel like tools like that are helpful because then we have one, if we have a couple people working on like those orders and packing and everything like that, they can also do other things like quality assurance and making sure things are done the right way and making sure things aren't damaged. So in those cases, whenever you have these things that are new technology coming in, sure, yes, that is great. But we've also looked at things where it's like we could completely get rid of the person. Now it's we have two extra employees that we don't know what to do with. Sure, you can kind of spread people out and get them in other areas, but at the same time, if we went to that, we would completely lose. Like we would have to fire somebody.
And you know what bothers me is like when you call companies now, you are not getting a human being on the phone half the time.
No.
It's all those automated, very touchy automated systems. The one that sends me spinning is calling CVS. Because if somebody talks in the background, like if one of your kids makes a noise, it keeps sending you back to the beginning, to the point where I want to rip my own hair out of my head.
So and it's the same with that situation, which I feel like that's something that could actually help the pharmacists be able to do things because they've been understaffed for so long. But
Right.
like, okay, the situation that I was just talking about, that saves just one unit. If we were to transfer over and get rid of that employee, not only would we not have to pay that person and not have to pay the health insurance and everything, but it would add $13,000 to profit every week.
Right.
So the incentive is
Money.
huge.
Right.
That's the difference. So that's what we're talking about. Now we're small, like we're very small business. We're still, working on being profitable and everything. But if you're talking about a place that they are profitable and they're making millions, and you could have these at 400 sites, that's just astronomical amounts of money that then goes to the CEO and the people in charge who aren't
Right.
down on the ground, don't have boots on the ground, and don't know what's actually happening at that lower level. They don't see what all these people in this warehouse and stuff are doing. They're up in an office, have never worked in a warehouse before, and they just say, "Okay, this is going to save money, so let's do it." And I think that the business structure nowadays has changed so much because a lot of these higher up people at jobs, they have never done those lower end jobs, so they don't understand what is
That's why I love those shows where they shove like the corporate
undercover
guy
boss.
right, yep, right into like the thick of it.
Yep.
Because sometimes you don't know unless you are there, boots on the ground.
Hmm.
You
I
don't
agree.
know. And you don't know the struggles that a lot of your employees are carrying
Hmm.
because of these cuts.
And I mean, it's expensive to hire a person, homie. It really is. It's uh, I want to say average to hire somebody, it's like 10,000 bucks to hire somebody. That's getting all of the training and all the extra stuff, all the paperwork out of the way. $10,000 just because you need an employee, and you could spend that money on a robot that can do the same job as three employees. So now, I mean, it makes its money back so fast.
It's like how the grocery stores invested in those little robots that could tell if there's a spill,
Yep.
something. Now, the other day, I'm walking out of the grocery store and I'm thinking, damn, I wonder how much they really spent on that. Like, it's a robot, it travels around, like, but the amount of money that they didn't have to pay an employee to do
Right.
that.
That's the thing. Yeah, they
Right.
can focus on other things. Yeah, and like the CVS thing, I mean, they. they need to properly staff the pharmacies as it is, and I think that's the problem. They have all the pharmacies understaffed, so now there are all these few people trying to do all these tasks. So they say, hey, instead of hiring new people, we can have the AI handle the phones, and that's going to cut out the need for a whole person at this work site. And I think they expect it to do more than it does, because I've called, you've called, you know how much that thing sucks. Like, it does not do what a person does.
Right. And it's hard because I feel like a pharmacist should have like that human connection with people. It takes that out of it. Like back in the day, people used to go to their pharmacist. Like I have friends that live in Canada. This is how different it is from America to Canada. I have a friend in Canada that's on the Sublocade shot. She went from methadone to
Mhm.
Sublocade. She doesn't get that injection from a doctor. She goes to her pharmacy and the pharmacist gives her injection.
I don't like a lot of the advancements in technology we're making as a whole. There are a lot of good things, don't get me wrong. I think there are some amazing things out there, but just social media and all the stuff that's taking jobs, and there are so many things that are actually hurting us as a whole.
Like
And
in Canada,
mhm,
like my friend, if she's sick, she can be like, "Oh, like look at your eye. If you've ever had pink eye before, you know what it feels like to get certain things." She
right.
can literally walk into a pharmacy in Canada and be like, "Hey, my eye's red." And instead of seeing a doctor, the pharmacist will give the prescription for the meds. If you need an antibiotic, you could walk right into the pharmacy and be like, "I'm feeling this, this, and this." And the pharmacist will give you the meds.
That's got to be so nice with kids because they get pink eye and all that nonsense all the time.
Right,
So
for
not,
things that
yeah.
you like are kind of self-explanatory, like that you wouldn't need to see a specialty doctor for.
Right. Can you imagine the medical impact that would have on the Canadian people if, like, they did become the 51st state?
And that's what one of their biggest fears is.
Yeah.
My friend continues to say that. And like she said, my grandfather fought for us to be able to be where we are today. I
Hmm.
would not want to come there and be the 51st state.
I don't think it will.
I
Uh,
don't either.
I would hope that it doesn't turn into like a fight for that. Obviously, they're saying this trade war is happening, but I don't know. Why not just let people be there? Like, we don't need Canada. We just need that relationship. The relationship with them being healthy is great. The needing the land, needing the resources, and all that stuff. I don't think we need that. So I don't know. I hope nothing happens. I hope it all calms down, and here in like a couple of months, everybody's going to be the best of friends, because I think it's really, really going downhill. Dana said, I'm retired with SSI. I worked my entire life and I'm so close to being homeless. It's scary. That's I can't tell you how many homes I go into for with the pest control side of things. How many people's houses I go to and they have termites or bed bugs, or something that's pretty big deal, and is affecting their life tremendously, and they can't afford it. They can't do anything. They can barely even afford the house. It's the same exact situation, and now they're getting eaten alive by bed bugs every night, and there's nothing they can do.
It
It's
is sad.
all the
It
time.
is sad. We need to do better and be better.
Yeah, I just don't think we're moving in the right direction, but
I wish that more people would just come together and still be there to want to help people instead of like, oh, it doesn't affect me. It's not my worry, not my business, not my problem. Because guess what? Eventually, you might get to a situation where it might be affect your life. It could affect one of your children. So
yeah.
if you're not vocal and willing to fight for some of these things, it could affect the person you love next.
Yeah. All right, guys. I know it got heavy. I know there's a lot of scary stuff going on. It wasn't all just the fun bullshit with all the crazy celebrities, but this stuff is important, so we wanna talk about it and just make sure people realize you are not alone in this world. It's crazy out here for a lot of people. It's hard for a lot of people. And we kind of all just have to be in this together the best we can. Like Marie just said, it's not the easiest thing. And I know a lot of people have kind of grown cold and numb to it because they've had to watch out for themselves because it's got so bad, but that little bit of help to people is huge a lot of the time. So love you all.
Bye, friends. Love you.